ready for the next part of Matilda? The weekly test. At 2:00 sharp, the class assembled, including Miss Honey, who noted that the jug of water and the glass were in the proper place. Can you remember what's in the jug of water? She took up position standing right at the back. Everyone waited. Suddenly, in marched the gigantic figure of the headmistress in her belted smock and green breeches. "Good afternoon, children," she barked. "Good afternoon, Miss Trunchbull," they all chirruped. The headmistress stood before the class, legs apart, hands on hips, glaring at the small boys and girls who sat nervously at their desks in front of her. "Not a very pretty sight. What a bunch of nauseating little warts you are." Everyone had the sense to stay silent. "Makes me vomit to think that I am going to have to put up with a load of garbage like you in my school for the next 6 years. I suppose your mothers and fathers tell you you're wonderful. Well, I am here to tell you the opposite." They all got to their feet. "Now put your hands out in front of you, and as I walk past, I want you to turn them over so I can see if they are clean on both sides." The Trunchbull began a slow march along the rows of desks, inspecting their hands. All went well until she came to a small boy in the second row. "What's your name?" she barked. "Nigel," the boy said. "Nigel what?" "Nigel Hicks." "Nigel Hicks? What?" "That's it," Nigel said, "unless you want my middle names as well." "I do not want your middle names, you blister. What is my name?" "Miss Trunchbull," Nigel said. "Then use it when you address me. What's your name?" "Nigel Hicks, Miss Trunchbull." "That's better. Your hands are filthy, Nigel. When did you last wash them?" Let me think. Yesterday, or it could have been the day before." "I knew it. I knew as soon as I saw you were nothing but a piece of filth. What is your father's job, a sewage worker?" "He's a doctor, and a jolly good one. He says we're all so covered with bugs anyway. A bit of extra dirt never hurts anyone." "I'm glad he's not my doctor. And why, may I ask, is there a baked bean on the front of your shirt?" "We had them for lunch, Miss Trunchbull." "And do you usually put your lunch on the front of your shirt, Nigel?" "Baked beans are hard to eat, Miss Trunchbull. They keep falling off my fork." "You are disgusting. Go and stand in the corner on one leg with your face to the wall." "But, Miss Trunchbull—" "Don't argue with me, boy, or I'll make you stand on your head. Now do as you're told." "Now stay where you are, boy, while I test you on your spelling to see if you've learnt anything at all this past week. And don't turn round when you talk to me. Keep your nasty little face to the wall. Now spell right." "Which one?" Nigel asked. "The thing you do with your pen, or the thing that means the opposite of wrong?" "The one with the pen, you little fool." Nigel spelled it correctly, which surprised the Trunchbull. She thought she had given him a very tricky word, one that he wouldn't yet have learned, and she was peeved that he had succeeded. Then Nigel said, still balancing on one leg, "Miss Honey taught us how to spell a new long word yesterday." "And what word was that?" "Difficulty," Nigel said. "Everyone in the class can spell difficulty now." "What nonsense." "Test someone," Nigel said. "Test anyone you like." The Trunchbull's dangerous eyes roved around the classroom. "You," she said, pointing at a tiny and rather daft little girl called Prudence. "Spell difficulty." The Trunchbull was properly taken aback when, amazingly, Prudence spelled it correctly and without a moment's hesitation. "And I suppose Miss Honey wasted the whole of one lesson teaching you to spell one single word?" "Oh, no, she didn't," piped Nigel. "Miss Honey taught us it in 3 minutes, so we'll never forget. Here it is. Mrs. D, Mrs. I, Mrs. F, F-I, Mrs. C, Mrs. U, Mrs. L-T-Y. That spells difficulty." "How ridiculous. Why are all these women married? You're not supposed to teach poetry when you're teaching spelling. Cut it out in the future, Miss Honey." "But it does teach them some of the harder words wonderfully well," Miss Honey said. "Don't argue with me, Miss Honey. Just do as you're told. I shall now test the class on multiplication tables to see if Miss Honey has taught you anything at all in that direction." "You," she barked, pointing at a small boy called Rupert. "What is 2 sevens?" 16? Rupert answered with foolish abandon. The Trunchbull started advancing slow and soft-footed upon Rupert. Rupert suddenly became aware of the danger signals and quickly tried again. It's 18! 2 sevens are 18, not 16. You ignorant little slug. You stupid glob of glue. She now stationed herself but directly behind Rupert, and suddenly she extended a hand the size of a tennis racket and grabbed all the hair on Rupert's head in her fist. Rupert had a lot of golden-coloured hair. The Trunchbull had a great dislike for long hair on boys. She took a firm grip on Rupert's long golden tresses with her giant hand, and then raising her muscular arm, she lifted the helpless boy clean out of his chair and held him aloft. Rupert yelled. He twisted and squirmed and kicked the air and went on yelling like a stick pig. Miss Trunchbull bellowed, 2 sevens are 14. I'm not letting you go till you say it. Miss Honey cried out, Miss Trunchbull, please let him down. You're hurting him. All his hair might come out. And well it might if he doesn't stop wriggling, snorted the Trunchbull. Keep still, you squirming worm. It was really quite extraordinary to see this giant headmistress dangling the small boy high in the air, and the boy spinning and twisting. Say it, bellowed the Trunchbull. Say 2 sevens are 14. Hurry up, or I'll start jerking you up and down, and then your hair really will come out. Get on with it, boy. 2 sevens are 14, gasped Rupert. Whereupon the Trunchbull, true to her word, opened her hand and quite literally let him go. He was a long way off the ground when she released him, and he plummeted to the earth and hit the floor and bounced like a football. Get up, the Trunchbull barked. Rupert got up and went back to his desk, massaging his scalp with both hands. The Trunchbull returned to the front of the class. The children sat there hypnotised. None of them had seen anything quite like this before. It was splendid entertainment. It was better than a pantomime, but with one big difference. In this room, there was an enormous human bomb in front of them, which was liable to explode and blow someone to bits any moment. I'm going to leave it there for today. I'll read again to you next week. Take care. Goodbye.